Hello, Internet, and welcome back to the Story Nook. Today we're going to be reading more of I'd Rather Have a Cat Than a Harem. We're on page 178. Let me pull up the cover so you guys can see it. Our author is Kozuzu Kabato. Our artist is Hinano Chano. I'd rather have a cat than a harem. Reincarnated into the world of an otome game as a cat-loving villainess. And that's where we are right now. I read up to this line this morning, making sure it's all good. But yeah, I hope you're all doing well. Remember to stay hydrated. I've got water with me today. So yeah. Amy, Rosalind chided, looking outraged on her behalf. Amy thought the girls were probably annoyed that they weren't getting the reaction from her that they were hoping for, because they continued bad-mouthing her loudly. Amy had predicted she would get rude remarks from the moment she decided to start gaining weight. But she had still been shocked the first time she heard it. She had frozen in place. The words had dripped with malice, and although the girls had been complaining about her position as the prince's fiancé candidate, a position she never wanted in the first place, confused and resentful tears had sprung to her eyes. After a while, however, she had come to realize that just because the girls couldn't stomach Amy, the prince's fiancé candidate, that didn't necessarily mean they despised or resented Amy herself. She came to this conclusion because girls only said those things the first time they saw her, when they didn't know enough about her nature to genuinely hate her. What usually happened after that was that each time that they would meet, they would dislike Amy less and less. Many times they even started to become friends with her. In fact, none of the people who had been mean to her when she first started going to school were still gossiping about her today. Because of these experiences, she decided it was most efficient to just let the mean words go in one ear and out the other, instead of getting upset every single time. But that didn't mean it completely stopped working. Besides, even if she had the perfect personality and perfect looks, it would still be impossible for everyone in the world to like her. The naturally shy Amy much preferred having a small group of people she could confide in, like her family, Rosalind, and Tigger, over having a bunch of people just pretending to fawn over her. She didn't have a case of sour grapes, but she did feel sorry for Rosalind getting caught in the middle. She had to hear this silly gossiping just because she was having tea with Amy. "I'm really sorry about this, Rosalind," Amy whispered, leaning in close to her. "You have nothing to apologize for. I mean, I don't enjoy hearing my friend being spoken of so rudely of. But as long as you don't care, I won't pay it any mind either." A voice suddenly rang out above their heads. "Fancy seeing you two in a place like this." A beautiful lady had appeared behind Amy and Rosalind's seats on the terrace. She was slightly out of breath, but she spoke with enough haughtiness that the dignity in her voice made it nearly unnoticeable. The three girls who had just made the stinging remarks yelped as excited chatter broke out through the lounge. "Wait, why is she here?" one of the girls cried. "No way, the daughter of Marquess Elphinstone?" Before Amy had even turned around, Rosalind greeted her by name. "Good afternoon, Letizia. I was just walking in the courtyard when I happened to see you two. How can you call yourselves ladies and sit so close to the edge? I wouldn't be able to look at you if you let your skin get sunburnt." What a model of beautiful femininity. Amy sat unable to keep her thoughts from spiraling with excitement, hiding her mouth with her lace fan and that teasing look in her eyes. "She's so stunning." Letizia, daughter of the Marquis Elphinstone, looked as though she had walked out of a classical portrait. She had a lovely face with blue eyes like sapphire, and shining blonde hair, and shiny blonde natural ringlets. Her accessories were modest, but her oblong silhouette style dress was obviously expensive. Her heels were of the latest fashion. Her long, slender figure towering above them was dignified and beautiful. She bore an eerie resemblance to a lead actor from an all-female musical group from Amy's previous life in Japan. Elegance oozed from every pore, down to her fingertips, which she used to fold her fan up with a snap. Amy could almost imagine roses blossoming behind her, and she wasn't sure the sparkles she saw around Letizia were entirely due to the sun filtering onto the terrace through the trees. So, here we have Amy, all adorable, her friend Rosalind, and our new Letizia, who I'm guessing is also a friend. Look at them, they're so adorable. And I'm so glad we finally get to meet Amy's friends that are here. Back to automatic zoom, like, adorable. Sparkle, sparkle, flower, roses, abundance. Sighs of admiration rose from the surrounding tables at the appearance of someone so beautiful. Even the three girls at the table next to them were staring at Letizia with flushed streaks and adoration in their eyes, the exact opposite of how they just treated Amy. A tea time for two, is it? I'm glad you seem to be enjoying yourselves, said Letizia coolly, looking down at Amy, Rosalind, and the plate of sweets. The three girls from before laughed, thinking they were joining in some sort of mockery, but then, see, Amy, I was right thinking you girls would come here, Letizia said jovially. You were, Rosalind said you would be able to find us. They were all so excited, they stood faster than the waiter could make it to them. Rosalind pulled out a chair for Letizia, and Amy gestured her hand to it, smiling. I'm sure she's out of breath because she rushed over, thinking we were talking about that again. Not that she would admit it. Perhaps Amy's thoughts were plain on her face because Legia stood for a moment, eyes darted between the thin-armed white chair and their faces as she fidgeted with her fan. What is it? Because you weren't in class this morning, we peeked into Madame Tori's class, too. Didn't we, Amy? We did, but you weren't there either. Then we figured you'd go to Sir Dion's magic practinium for sure. So Rosalind said you'd probably be able to see us afterward if we sat here. I didn't go through the courtyard because I wanted to see you girls. You even went to Madame Troy's to look for me? Letizia mumbled, trailing off. Smiling eyes turned to her from around the lounge, some girls even nodding along with her. Really, that's sad, Rosalind. It seems you were the only ones who wanted to hang out. It seems we were the only ones who wanted to hang out, Amy teased. Don't be so dejected, Amy. Letizia will definitely have tea with us. We were just in the middle of talking about the kingdom of Markir. After all, isn't that right, Letizia? I guess I have no choice, do I? I'm very busy right now, you know, but fine. We members of the Elphinstone family are very generous, after all. Clearing her throat with a small cough, Letizia sat in the chair, head downturned. Between the curtain of blonde ringlets shielding her face, Amy could see her cheeks burning crimson, and her mouth twisted into a small smile. So she's a shy girl. Like, she's shy. Like, she wants to be friends, but doesn't know, like, quite how to show it. That's adorable. The three girls sitting beside them watched, stunned, while Letizia regained her composure and told the waiter her order. I'll have the same tart as Amy. We'll have matching tarts, Amy asked, excited. Rosalind chuckled. Well, you are good friends. That's not it, Letizia stammered. Cottonut is just really good for replenishing magical powers, that's all. But in any case, shouldn't you be eating more, Amy? Amy blinked for a moment, startled before smiling kindly. You're very kind, Letitia. Amy had experienced being on the verge of collapsing from overusing her magic before. Letitia was probably just worried for her and was trying to prevent something like that from happening again. When Amy met Letitia's eyes and smiled so sincerely, the corners of Letitia's eyes turned slightly pink, and she gulped as if clearing her throat. Well, everyone's worried about you. It'd just be a huge pain if you fainted or something during the Practerium. You're right, thank you. I'll make sure to eat a lot. Rosalind, who had been watching the exchange, fondly addressed Letitia as if she were her younger sister, despite Letitia being a year older. It's okay, Letitia. Amy's on her second helping. Oh, well, that's fine then. Anyway, I told you to stop calling me Letitia, or have you already forgotten? Amy and Rosalind looked at each other and smiled. Okay, Letty, they said in unison. As soon as Letitia noticed herself smiling at this, she quickly composed her expression again. Over her shoulder, the three girls were staring, mouths agape. Letitia Elphinstone was immensely popular with the other ladies. She was the prime example of a girl who had come around and started being friendly with Amy after a rough start. And now she was one of Amy's dear friends at school. At the same time, Letitia had told them to call her Letty. She also told them they didn't need to speak formally or humbly with her. Letitia was both older and had a higher family status, but it would have been more disrespectful not to listen to her request. She was the sort of person who, once she declared something, would not concede to the point in any way. Amy had already had some experience with this type of personality from Edward and Alexander. However, it was Rosalind's nature to speak politely to everyone, so she didn't change her manner of speaking very much. So you wanted to hear about the Kingdom of Barker? Asked Letitia with a cough. Amy nodded. A ton of people from foreign kingdoms came to my grandfather's territory, but rarely any from back here. I imagine that would be true for Wallum. Barker, a friendly kingdom to the south, was landlocked, so they traded primarily over land routes. Therefore, they didn't have much to do with the border province Wallum, the cornerstone of steed trade. Amy had only just started learning about geography and Luducia's neighboring kingdoms at school, so she didn't have much knowledge other than what she learned from the books at her parents' house. But there were two things about Barker that she was desperately interested in. Books are nothing compared with your stories, Letty. I mean, you've actually lived there, Amy infused. The Marquess of Elstone held a position that was like a mixture of a diplomat and a foreign minister from Amy's previous life. The Kingdom of Baker was a resource-rich country and a long-time, very important trading partner for Ludicia. Furthermore, when the country welcomed the Crown Princess of Bakir, the Marquess temporarily reloaded Baker with his family to take on the burden of coordinating various aspects of the arrangement. When the obligation was finished, they returned to Ludicia this past winter. At the beginning of the year, Edward's oldest brother, the Crown Prince, had married the princess. When the dust had settled, Letitia started attending school. She began around the same time Amy did. It's hard to imagine from pictures alone a kingdom existing in the middle of a desert. Maybe it's like our pasture at Noel's, but with sand instead of grass, Rosalind wondered aloud to herself. Amy imagined that Baker was a place similar to some of the countries in the Middle East in her previous life. But the only thing Rosalind could compare it to was a huge pasture on the Noel's territory. In this world, with its limited means of circulating images, it was quite difficult for the general population to comprehend the wider world around them. The Noel's pasture is quite big, but Bakir is much bigger, said Letitia. I was shocked at how large it was the first time I visited. Even the sunlight and the wind are strong there. Then I suppose their clothes would be different too. That's right, I was completely veiled from head to toe. Amy and Laza tried to imagine Letitia wearing foreign clothing. She could probably wear anything and look stunning. Amy was interested in the clothes worn in Bakir, but there was something else she really wanted Letitia to confirm for her first. She started leaning forward. Is it true that everyone in the kingdom likes cats? Amy. That's my alarm. I'm gonna finish this page and then we'll end this chapter. Amy, that's really what you want to know about the kingdom of Baker? Letitia sounded slightly exasperated. She may have muttered, unbelievable, under her breath, but she answered Amy's question nevertheless. Well, it's true, even the king likes them. There were cats all over the royal palace. Really? Amy squealed. What about you, Letty? Didn't you have any cats there? She had read all about the cat lovers of Baker in a book. They seemed to be partial to cats for a variety of reasons, partly because the kingdom's founder cherishes cats, and partly because they were considered a sign of good luck in their religion. Amy's imagination went crazy. She was so excited that the hearsay had been true. What were their lives like? What types of cats lived in Baker? What color fur did they have? What did their tails look like? What names did they have? What food did they eat? Cats were generally the same everywhere you went, but there was still so much Amy wanted to know. I did have a cat when I lived in Baker, but I couldn't take her back with me. So when I returned to Luducia, I left her behind, Letitia said, simply bringing her teacup to her mouth. The other two were at a loss for words. Oh my, Letty. That's so sad. Alright, so we're gonna end here at the end of 184 in my document. So thank you all so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed it. Once again, there is a form in the description now for you to suggest any stories that you want me to read and all that good jazz. Many thanks to my Patreon and Ko-fi supporters, Cassie G, Tweed Tea Cakes, Axel1154, Kaleidoscope Chick, Jadas DS, Axel Akaraz, Semi-Random Sevens, and Micah. You're all wonderful and awesome. Remember to stay safe, stay hydrated, all that good jazz. And yeah, bye-bye.